Good morning, guys. I said a few videos ago when I visited the Wolf's Lair in Gierwolf that if I was ever back in Warsaw, I would go to the Warsaw Uprising Museum. When I was at the Wolf's Lair, I actually didn't know too much about the Warsaw Uprising, and there was a little piece about it, and I walked in, I kind of wasn't really too clued up on like what was going on realistically. So I figured what better way to learn about it than to go to the museum right here in Warsaw and yeah, just see. I mean, I've got a vague idea of what happened, obviously, but I want to go in and find out some specifics and pretty much just like learn more deeply about the Warsaw Uprising and what exactly went on and happened. So that's where I'm heading to right now. It's a bit late in the day. It's like 2 p.m. right now because I had to drop off my car this morning, and that just took ages to get over to the airport and then back into the city. And so I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I wanted to do this museum, kind of get that done and dusted, and then go from there. So the Museum of Warsaw Uprising is just down here. It, I believe, might be that red brick building over there. So we're gonna go check that out. And then, I mean, afterwards, I have no clue what I'm doing, to be honest. I'm just kind of winging it right now here in Warsaw. I've been Googling things to do, and to be honest, I've done a lot of things either on this trip or on my previous trip to Warsaw. And so there's not really a lot more for me to do, especially for showing in the vlogs. And so I'm kind of running out of things to do here in Warsaw. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing later today. But as I say, right in front of me, and I can imagine with all these Polish flags waving right there, this is most probably the Museum of Warsaw Uprising. So we're gonna go check it out. I probably will only show you guys like the highlights. I'm not gonna spend ages on this video kind of showing you all around the museum. Just a few little shots here and there, things I find interesting and I think would be worth relaying to you guys. And that's pretty much that. Just gonna go pretty much for myself to like kind of learn more about this, because I think it's a big part of the Polish history and also World War II in general that I just have no knowledge about realistically. So I need to find the entrance into this building, which most probably know my luck will be around the other side. And yeah, we'll get in. I'll tell you how much it costs me and anything that's interesting that I find out for myself. Let's have it. Let's go in and check out the Museum of Warsaw Uprising. So I've just gone in and got my ticket. On a normal day, the tickets, by the looks of it on the board, there's some prices, but the tickets, if you're just getting a normal ticket and no tour guide, you're probably looking at about 30 to 40 zloty. On a Thursday, this is good to know, which happens to be today, on a Thursday, tickets are free, entrance is free, and so I got a free ticket into the museum. So we'll be going in a second. Just having a quick look out here. We've got a wall right here full of names, I think. And then also just over there in the distance, we've got like a little replica of like some kind of weird looking tank or car or something. We'll go and have a quick look at that. But yeah, what a great day to come visit on a Thursday. It's a little busier probably because it is free. I had no idea it was going to be free today. It just so happened that I could fit it into my day today, and then tomorrow I'm most probably going to go outside of Warsaw into somewhere else, probably Wrocław, because I have said now a couple of times that I would like to go and revisit Wrocław, to properly go and check out the old town and to give it basically another chance, because when I went before I felt like I didn't really give it the visit it deserved. Right in front of us we have this replica of a truck called Kubus. I'm not sure exactly what Kubus is. You can get audio tour guides. I haven't got one. I don't like really using the audio tour guides. Yeah, so that's the information if you want to read it right there. And that's basically what this armoured truck is. As I say, it's a replica. It's a pretty interesting looking vehicle. And I feel like maybe that's part of the museum exhibit. Because it's got number 57 on it, on the audio guide, so maybe you go inside first and then you check it out afterwards. Obviously, as I say, for me, it doesn't matter because, well, I haven't got an audio guide. So we're just checking them out in whichever order we want. Yeah, so that's the outside, the exterior of the Museum Uprising Museum. The Museum Uprising Museum? The Warsaw Uprising Museum. In Polish, it's called Muzeum Powstania Warszawskiego. So that's what it's called in Polish. And we're going to line up, we're going to go inside, and like I say, I will show you whatever I think is worth showing you guys whatever's worth kind of sharing with you guys. And yeah, and then afterwards, like I say, I have no idea what I'm doing. So let's go in. Looks like everyone's about to go in now. So good timing yet again. Let's go. All I know is it's World War II related. Don't really know much else about it. So the Warsaw Uprising lasted for 63 days, in which many people on both sides died. But essentially the Polish people wanted to free themselves of the Nazi occupation that they were under at the time, and they wanted to do it before the Soviets came in and took over. So on August 1st, 1944, until I think it was October 2nd, 1944, the Polish basically started fighting back and fighting against the Nazis, trying to kick them out of their city. And I've mentioned before a couple of times that around 80% of Warsaw, 80 to 85% of Warsaw was destroyed during World War II. And the majority of that was destroyed purposely by the Nazis after the Warsaw Uprising. The Nazis basically wanted to destroy as much as they could due to this uprising. So yeah, I've just gone through a couple of rooms at the moment. It's been quite interesting. There's loads of different artifacts and stuff to look at. I just walked into this room and then there's this big plane up here. It's a replica, it's not a real plane I don't think. But it's quite a cool little thing to have up there. Guns and cameras in here. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff to look at here. And that's what I've just said is a brief breakdown on the Warsaw Uprising. Kind of which I kind of knew, and then other bits I've kind of just learned. So right behind me we have something called Miasto Ruin, the City of Ruins. It's a little 5-minute kind of 3D cinema thing that you watch. It's all just like music, and what it is it's like you're in a plane flying over a recreated war-torn Warsaw just after the city had been basically completely ruined. And it's, as I say, just like you're a plane ride or something, a helicopter or whatever, flying over the city, and you just kind of see the city as it would have looked like back when 80 to 90% of it was destroyed. And it kind of gives like a really good perspective of like just how much was destroyed. And it was hard to like know exactly like where you were in regards to like trying to find like something that you recognize from when you visit Warsaw to in the film, because things were so destroyed. It said at the end there that on the 1st of September 1939, so on the day that Germany invaded Poland, Warsaw had 1.4 million inhabitants. I think it said 1.4 million people lived in Warsaw. And then by the time of the, I think it said by the time of the end of the uprising and like when everything was just destroyed, there was less than 1,000 inhabitants. Like that was, I think, less than a year or just over a year maybe, or somewhere in the region of a year. I can't remember the exact date now. But yeah, 1.4 million people down to less than 1,000. Absolutely mental. Pretty much majority of people either died or were taken out of the city. Here you can see kind of a little representation of what Warsaw would have basically looked like after the war. I get a head down view if we can without the lights getting in the way. Yeah, this is basically the view of the city. Pretty much all around. Interesting little visit. I was very happy the fact that it was a Thursday and therefore the tickets were free. I'd say it makes it a little bit better just not paying for it, but even on a normal day if you had to pay for it, it's what did I say there, 30 to 40 zloty. I think it was 35 or maybe 40 zloty that you pay for it. So it still isn't too badly priced, and that's the museum right there in front of me, obviously that building we just went into. And yeah, it was pretty decent actually inside the exhibits. There were things, you know, like the big plane on the roof or like brick walls kind of being reconstructed to kind of make you visualize things better. The little cinema thing where you fly through war-torn Warsaw. Yeah, it was a pretty decent museum. I quite liked it. I learned a few bits, and basically showed you the highlights. Right now I'm going to head back into Warsaw. There's a place I went to, a food place I went to when I was in Bydgoszcz called Manekin. I'd like to go back to Manekin because it was a really delicious restaurant and it's all like sweet stuff. It's all crepes and pancakes and that kind of thing. And so I'm excited to go try it again. I really enjoyed it when I was in Bydgoszcz, and I can only imagine it's going to be the same here as well because it's like a chain thing. But that's what I'm doing now, as I fancy eating, you know, some cakey bit. I don't know exactly what I'm going to get. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get like pancakes, crepes, naleśniki is what I got last time, which is basically a crepe that's folded over, chocolate sauce. It was so delicious. Banana one I think I got, but it was just so delicious. So we're going to go back there, get some naleśniki, and then after which, I can't remember where we're going. So I visited a Manekin in Bydgoszcz in that vlog. That was a few months ago now that I went there, and it was so nice. I wanted to come back to Manekin and try it again. So we have today this, which I'll have to put up on screen because I can't remember exactly what it is. Put the sauce to the side. Try and show the camera a little bit. It's a chocolate pancake naleśniki with Kinder Bueno, strawberry, banana, blueberries. It's got chocolate sauce on top. They've given me what should be strawberry sauce on the side as well, which is strawberry sauce. I'm just going to chuck that on top, I reckon. Yeah, for me, Manekin has been one of my favorite Polish chains, somewhere that is in multiple different cities. It's just such a nice place to eat at, and it's all sweet pancakes and stuff like that, which is the stuff I really enjoy. Ice creams as well. Yeah, just everything. But I had to go for what I went for last time, or like a similar thing, a naleśniki, which is a Polish pancake thing, basically what you see. But last time I went for like a different flavor. This time I've gone for a Kinder Bueno one instead. Yeah, that's super sweet, super nice. I'm glad I went for the strawberry sauce in the end instead of extra chocolate sauce, because that would have been a lot. Yum. I just love like the combination of pancake, banana, strawberries. Such a great combination. The banana and pancake especially just makes it such a great taste and texture in your mouth. Let me show you a bit of a close-up of this food. It's fucking amazing. Lovely meal there at Manekin. I was about to call it naleśniki then. Naleśniki is the name of the pancake you get. But yeah, lovely meal at Manekin anyway. Really enjoyed that. I am super full of sweet food at the moment though. Later on in my own time, I'll get myself something a little bit less sweet and a little bit more actual dinner worthy, I guess. But I just really fancy going to Manekin. I had the time right there. Anyway, we're back in kind of the more district-y area of Warsaw. You know, you've got all these glass buildings here. Just down the road is the main bit where we have the Palace of Culture and Science, for example, and like that whole general area. And we are looking for two streets at the moment, although I think both things that we're looking for are accessible via one. We're looking for Złota 62 and also Siena 55. These are both street names and, well, addresses basically. So we should come across Siena 55 first, and then afterwards we'll come across Złota 62, both of which are remnants of the Warsaw Ghetto walls here in Warsaw. I just need to figure out which road's which. Not down here, it's a bit further along. It's somewhere down this road here. As I say, Warszawa Centralna, if you've ever been here before, it's literally just like down here somewhere. Warszawa Centralna obviously is the central Warsaw station, and that's where I say the Palace of Culture and Science is. You know, that big Empire State looking building that was given to the Poles via the Soviet Union. And what I didn't realize when I said it yesterday, it was actually commissioned by Stalin himself, which makes the whole history part just like a little bit more complicated, and even more so why the Poles may or may not like that particular building. But we're just having a look now. I don't think this is Siena either. It's got to be the next one down then. So yeah, basically if you've ever seen, like yesterday I went to the house here in Warsaw, and I think it's on the same road, just like way down there. I went to the house on Aleja Niepodległości 223, which is a house in which Władysław Szpilman from the film the pianist stayed in, and he survived the rest of the war, like the last year or so of the war, with the help of a German Nazi officer. Well, I was speaking about The Pianist, the film The Pianist. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. It's a great film in my opinion, but in that film, it will also show you kind of what the state was like within the Warsaw Ghetto. I mentioned it yesterday in regards to the scene where they were showing the house that was depicted down the street, but the house we saw yesterday is the real deal. It's the real house, whereas in the film it was just a location base and it wasn't filmed at the real house. But today, talking about that same film, if you've seen it, then great, you'll know what we're on about. Obviously, if you haven't, I would recommend seeing it just to get an idea. I always see a sign up here, actually, the blue sign there, that says fragment of the ghetto wall. So it's got to be down here. This is either Siena or Złota. I don't know which street this one is. This could be Złota and Siena could be the other one, but I really don't know. I'm trying to have a look on the signs right now, but there doesn't seem to be any road signs here. But not to worry. The sign showed it right there. We'll go down here and have a look regardless. So apparently there are two just here. And like I was saying, if you've seen The Pianist or any other war film, but I know for sure The Pianist is set here in Warsaw, then you kind of get an idea of like how all these Jews were slowly indoctrinated, or not indoctrinated, how all these Jews were slowly forced into this small area. They were one by one. It was one day they had to wear a band on their arm, the next day they had to do something else, and there's slow things which kind of slowly pushes them in. It's not like one day everything's fine and the next day it's like 100% everything is bad. Things slowly, day by day and month by month, got worse and worse. Eventually they had to wear these bands on their arm to identify themselves as Jews when they're out on the street, when they're out and about, so people can see them just walking down the street. That must be a Jew because they're wearing the Star of David on their arm. And eventually down the line, it got to the point where they were ordered to go and move out of their houses all around the city and go and get pushed into certain areas. Areas such as this, which I don't know where the exact markings for the Jewish ghetto wall is, but it's through this alleyway here somewhere. And wherever the walled part was, they would have to go inside of that walled, basically city or wall part. They obviously called them ghettos. So they were forced into these ghettos and they were not allowed out. This is basically where they would have to live and survive. And well, in a lot of cases they didn't survive, but you know what I mean. This is where they had to do their best to survive. Inside of these walls, they would have been shot and murdered and God knows what else. Again, watching films such as The Pianist, it really gives an example and shows you just how bad things did get, and probably you can imagine they got worse as well. So I've just walked through, I'll show you here, I've just walked through that alleyway there from the main street. I think that was Złota 62 down here. We've got Miejsce Pamięci, place of remembrance, and then access to the memorial. And that's basically it. The other one is just like ours, that is open. And then just here, potentially is the wall, just having a look. It looks like it could be the wall fragments. I don't actually know what they look like. I've not seen the pictures of them. But as this is the end of the street, this is the ghetto wall right here. It's actually quite a tall one compared to the one I saw in Krakow. You can just about see the English there. In the period from November 15th, 1940 to November 20th, 1941, this wall marked the limits of the ghetto. So as you can see there, this is the end of the ghetto. I'm not going to lie to you guys and pretend like I know fully. I don't know if this side of the wall was the inside of the ghetto or if it was that side of the wall. But I would have a guess and say it was the side we're standing. And let's just imagine for a second that that's the case. So we got this wall here, that still remains the wall that was built, most probably forcibly built by the Jews, the Nazis like forcing the Jews to build this own wall. We've got remnants here of this wall. So I imagine it probably comes to this corner and then this wall goes across there, where you can see that on the floor. Again, I don't know that 100%, I'm just kind of guessing from being here. But if you imagine that being the case, then they're basically forced into this area where we're stood right now. And yeah, a lot of them didn't make it out alive either, you know. And again, you can get your information from The Pianist or other films similar. That's just the film that I've seen and remembered in my head, at least, that's set here in Warsaw. But either they were shot in this area, you know, Nazis would come by at night and they'll just randomly shoot people or drag people out of their houses, shoot them on the street. You have to be quite lucky just to not be randomly picked. Or at certain times, whole groups of people would just be shoved onto those trains that yesterday we went to. It was called Umschlagplatz train station, and they would go to Umschlagplatz train station and they would then be sent off to Treblinka, which at Treblinka too, they would be immediately gassed upon entry, which again we went to only a few days ago, and of course only a couple episodes ago, entitled something along the lines of Visiting Treblinka or something like that. I don't know what the title of that video is, but people here would either die from being sent to the gas chambers at Treblinka, or they'd be sent to other concentration camps, or they would just be shot right here on the streets. That's pretty much the life that they had. And it's very hard to believe that any of them really even made it out alive. I don't know how many of them actually made it out alive. From what I can remember off the top of my head, I believe 400,000 Jews were in this area at like, I guess, the highest number or whatever of Jews in this area. If we look at this wall here, so as I say, I visited a wall like this, a mural wall in Kraków. It was a lot smaller. It was probably half the height. The shape of the wall was kind of like this as well in Kraków. It was like humped on the top. So obviously it's a different design. This one is just a straight tall wall. This is like, I don't even know how many feet. Like, it's a lot bigger. I mean, I would guess 20 feet or something. And then also it's flat at the top. So it's a different style altogether in terms of the construction. Down here we have 3 missing bricks. I only read up that there were 2 missing bricks. But this one here, they've basically taken a brick out of the wall and they've taken it to the museum in Houston. Here, does it say they've taken it to the museum in Jerusalem, I think that says. And then this one here, it's taken to Melbourne, Australia. So they've taken these 3 bricks out of the wall and they've taken them to these 3 different locations. That just goes to show that this is the authentic, real deal. And I can only imagine that these bricks are on show at those museums for people to go and see the real thing. So that right there behind me is the wall we just looked at, of course. Now there is one more I said. I was under the impression it was accessible via Złota 62, which is where we are now. So obviously we had to go to the other street again, where we just walked from Siena 55 and go and see if we can go and find the other wall. If not, then the other one's obviously not accessible, but it's what I've seen from a quick look on Google and Google Maps and stuff. And it's kind of hard to tell and judge. And so we'll go back over to Siena 55. Like I say, we walk past Siena not realizing, because the streets aren't always named with a plaque. So we'll go and see if we can have a look at that. But if not, then that's at least the wall right there that we can see here, as I say, on Złota 62, which is not too far away. I mean, if you know Warsaw at all, you probably know the Samson presidential building up over there. It's only pretty much on the corner of the square where, oh, well, even easier to realize where we are. We're right in front of the Palace of Culture and Science. Right there, we're literally straight down from there. And this, you know, this road, it's like a 2-minute walk, if that, to get to the Palace of Culture and Science. And we're here on Złota 62. So let's go over one street to Siena 55. So we're in between both streets right now, with Złota 62 being over there, Siena 55 being over there. And just here, although we do have a gate blocking us from actually entering properly, I don't know, this gate, it kind of looks locked. I don't know if we can get it opened. Right, that was easy. Right, so in here, I don't know if this is Siena or if it's the other side of the same wall we just saw. We've got some information on these walls here. It says here, dedicated to those who heroically died in the Warsaw Ghetto. So there's a little information board right there. We have some photos here. And we also got a few photos here and a few other plaques down as well. So this basically will give an idea of kind of obviously the scene. Right here we have the other side of the same wall we were looking at. So this is still the wall from Złota 62. And it's just an incredible piece of history that the city's managed to preserve, just having it right here. The actual wall that was built right here, this is the wall that inside saw many people die, many people horrifically murdered right within these bricks right here, the real authentic bricks. And it's mad just like looking at them, just like knowing and understanding what went on inside of these walls. Right on the floor down here you can see like a light, and I can only imagine at night it would shine up to kind of show remembrance of the people that died here, right here in Warsaw's ghetto. There's also a whole bunch of little rocks and pebbles that have been placed down on the floor just there. And yeah, it's just, as I say, I just find it amazing how they were able to still preserve the history here by keeping these walls, because unfortunately the majority of the walls, both here in Krakow and wherever else in Poland and other places where ghetto walls would have been built, they a lot of them didn't really survive that well. But you just have little pieces of the wall like that. It would have been a lot more, obviously. It would have encompassed an entire area. Not an entire area fit for 400,000 Jews, mind you, just an area bigger than what you can see there. But that's obviously the remnants, and it's just incredible how they were able to keep that. We learned today that, you know, the Warsaw Uprising happened, and after the uprising, the Germans just had more manpower, more bullets, more everything. So after 62 days, or was it 63 days? 62 or 63 days, I can't remember the number, of the Polish Warsaw Uprising. Ultimately, the Polish just didn't have enough reinforcements, and so they were overwhelmed by the German army. And so the Germans really tried to destroy everything in Warsaw. Hitler himself wanted Warsaw off the map. He wanted Warsaw to be decimated. He wanted Warsaw to not exist anymore. He was trying to use Warsaw as an example, as a city that, you know, like, we'll destroy this city here and that will show everyone else around the world, or whoever we control, like, not to mess with us, kind of thing. So with the Nazis destroying Warsaw after the uprising, and they destroyed, like we've already said, 80, 85, 90%, however much percent of the city, majority of the city was like desecrated to the floor, like just destroyed. And yet parts of the original ghetto wall still exist today in 2025. It's just an incredible piece of history right here, and we're so lucky to be able to see it and, you know, just have the authentic thing survive right here. Right here, I've made it to the front of Siena 55, just as you can see on this plaque up here, Siena 55. And it's just a normal building, I think, nowadays, or it may be something like a Polish government building or something. It's got the Polish flag there, and it kind of gives that vibe. I didn't really read what it was, but on the front we've got this plaque here. One showing a picture of where we stood, basically saying, this is the Warsaw Uprising insurgents of the 2nd Platoon of the Choroby 2 Company outside 55 Siena Street on the way to the headquarters. So if you can see that picture there, it's about as close as I can get. They were stood literally just here on that picture. You can kind of tell with the building and everything. So that's that picture just there, which is quite interesting. And then also it says here, part of the ghetto wall has been preserved in the yard of this building. So what we just looked at actually was my mistake, is actually Siena 55. So we looked at the other side of Siena 55 by the looks of it, instead of Złota 62. I don't know how I would access Złota 62, because there's apparently another wall, but I can't seem to see it because it's the only one I can find is Siena 55. So I'm not sure exactly. I'm gonna have to have another look and see if I can find another wall, or whether that one might be the only one that we can see. Okay, so we're still looking at Siena 55, and I've just come back obviously to that one that we've seen again, but I just want to show you now the other side. So this is the edge of it. This is the first side we looked at. This is the second side we looked at. And you just want to look at this side because they've actually got windows on this side. I don't know why you can't look through them on the other side, but there's windows on this side here, and again it just shows that this must be the outside face, which means that a wall would have gone up there, probably to like the road area, and then either that way or that way, I'm not sure which way. And then obviously that means that where we stood earlier, it did go indeed around that way. kind of. I don't know, again, exactly, but that's just another look at this wall from this angle here. Again, yeah, it's kind of a mad piece of wall because it's actually quite intact considering everything that it would have been gone through and seen and everything. Okay, I've made my way back to this side. I've now under the impression that it's the same wall obviously, and it's only that one wall here, though originally I thought there were two different walls here. One obviously is accessible via the street of Złota 62, that's the address. If you go down to number 62, which is quite easy to find because the signposts point you in the direction, go down to that street, Złota 62, you'll come around to where we are now, and Siena 55, you go around there, then that's the access to the other one. Well, technically not Siena, but halfway across, because if you go to Siena 55, then in front of that building is where we just saw with the picture and the plaque. You have to just kind of go in the middle of the two streets on the main road in order to access the other side. So I thought there were two different walls because on Google Maps you kind of see a couple photos, and there's one photo of a wall that's a lot shorter and it's got a plaque on it, and obviously it must be from some other like wall, obviously from around the city or something. But for right here at this location, you have two different sides of the same wall that can be accessed via the two addresses that I have repeated about 20 times now, so I don't need to say them again. But yeah, that's just a nice little look into another part of Warsaw's history. It is littered with history in this city, and I love it so much. You know, especially with the history being World War II centric, it's just an amazing piece of history to be able to come across and to see in the city. Just walking around, it's almost like a World War II history open air museum here. What an amazing city. Just in a pub right now called Back2Rock, just enjoying a few drinks. This is I think it's a litre beer, I'm not quite sure, but it cost me 16 zloty regardless. It's a decent sized beer. And we're just off of the main square, just near the Palace of Culture and Science. It's a nice little pub. It's not too big. It's playing some rock music right now, so won't film too much in here because copyright. But yeah, it's got a nice little vibe in it. That was a really good pub. Like I said, it was a bit small, but it was a really nice little rock pub. And they just, you know, were playing rock tunes and stuff. It was pretty nice. It wasn't too busy in there either. And it was actually, I think, a half litre, not a full litre. Now that I've realised, I tried to say it was a full litre. It's nowhere near as big as the beer I had in Gdynia the other day. But that was a really nice little pub, and I'm now ready to go back. I've checked out whatever I could check out today, and I'm kind of exhausted. I've got early start tomorrow for tomorrow. So I'll see you guys for tomorrow's vlog. Until then, have a great day. And do zobaczenia. Pa pa!